The Aurora drifted quietly through the dark space between two distant star systems. Its engines hummed softly, a low sound that the crew had grown used to after months of travel. Outside the wide observation window, there was nothing but endless black, sprinkled with points of starlight that felt both close and far away at the same time. Commander Rion sat in the captain's chair, scanning a display screen filled with charts and blinking dots. The mission was simple: chart unexplored sectors, gather data, and return to the human colonies with new star maps. For weeks, nothing unusual had happened. Space was calm, perhaps too calm. Then, the silence broke. A faint tone echoed through the bridge speakers. It wasn't the usual soft beeping of their ship's systems. This sound was uneven, like something broken was trying to work. Rion looked up. "Loma, did you hear that?" he asked. Turning toward the ship's engineer. Loma was already leaning over the communications console. "Yes, Commander. It's not from us. It's external. Very weak." The rest of the crew looked at each other. An unknown signal in deep space could mean many things: a ship in trouble, a probe sending data, or something far more dangerous. "Put it on speakers," Rion ordered. Static filled the room at first, a harsh hiss that made some crew members wince. Then, beneath the noise, came a voice. It was faint and strange, the words heavy with an unfamiliar accent. "Please, save my daughter." The bridge fell silent. The voice was not from any human ship they knew. It sounded tired, desperate, and filled with fear. "Repeat that section," Rion said. Loma tapped the controls, filtering the sound again. The words came through clearer this time. "Please, save my daughter." There was a pause before another sound followed, something like a deep, echoing sigh, as if the speaker was running out of strength. Then the transmission cut off. "Direction?" Rion asked. Loma checked the scanners. "Source is coming from a small system about 2 hours away at our current speed." "But Commander, the signal's energy pattern doesn't match any human technology. It's alien." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Contact with alien life was rare, and often only through automated probes or distant signals. Meeting someone face-to-face out here would be something none of them had ever experienced. Rion thought for a moment. The Aurora's mission did not require them to answer distress calls, but leaving someone, anyone, to die in the cold of space felt wrong. "We change course," Rion said firmly. "If there's a chance someone needs help, we take it." The crew nodded in quiet agreement. The ship's engines roared softly as the Aurora turned toward the source of the signal. Stars shifted in the viewports, and the faint glimmer of a distant sun appeared ahead. As they traveled, Loma worked on cleaning the rest of the transmission. Hours passed. The Aurora moved through dark space with only the soft rumble of the engines breaking the quiet. The crew stayed alert, knowing they could be heading toward danger. Finally, the system came into view. A small yellow star shone weakly in the distance, surrounded by only two planets. The first was small and rocky, circling close to its sun. The second was larger, with swirling red clouds covering its surface. "There," Loma said, pointing to the scanner display. "The signal is coming from orbit around the red planet." As they drew closer, the scanners revealed a small object, a shuttle, barely bigger than a cargo pod, drifting in the planet's upper atmosphere. Its outer hull was blackened and dented, and parts of it were glowing faintly from heat. "Life signs?" Rion asked. Loma adjusted the sensors. 1, no. 2, weak readings. Very weak. Rion's voice grew firm. "Bring us in. Prepare the docking bay." The Aurora descended toward the drifting shuttle, moving carefully through the thin edge of the planet's atmosphere. Red clouds swirled below, giving the view an eerie glow. As they closed in, more damage became visible: scorch marks, torn plating, and a cracked viewport. Once they were close enough, the ship's grappling arms extended, locking onto the shuttle's frame. The airlock sealed with a heavy clang, and the crew moved to meet whoever was inside. The outer hatch opened slowly with a hiss of pressurized air. The smell of burned metal and something faintly sweet drifted into the Aurora. Inside the shuttle, crouched near a small pod, was a tall figure. The skin shimmered faintly silver under the light. and long hair flowed down over her shoulders. Her eyes, large and deep blue, locked onto Rian and the crew. She was clearly not human. Her breathing was shallow, and she held the pod tightly in her arms. Inside the pod lay a small child, her skin the same silver shade. Her tiny hands curled into fists as she slept. The woman's voice was soft but urgent. "You heard me," she said in halting, but clear words. "You heard my call." Rian nodded slowly. "We did. You asked us to save your daughter." She closed her eyes briefly, relief washing over her tired face. "Yes, please. She is all I have left." The crew looked at each other. This was more than just a rescue. They were about to be part of something they didn't yet understand. The void outside was silent, but in that moment, the air between them felt heavy with meaning. And somewhere, deep in the swirling red clouds below, the danger that had driven this alien mother to them was still out there, waiting. The air inside the shuttle was warm but thin, the kind of air that made breathing feel like work. Commander Rian stepped forward carefully, his boots clicking against the metal floor. Behind him, Loma and two other crew members waited, ready to help. The tall silver-skinned woman stood slowly, though her movement was weak. She kept one hand on the pod, as if afraid that letting go would somehow let danger slip in. Her eyes studied the humans before her, cautious but not hostile. Rian spoke in a calm voice. "You are safe now. We can help you and your child." The woman's lips curved slightly, though it was not quite a smile, more like a brief release of fear. "I am Cyrene," she said, her accent giving each word a careful shape. She glanced down at the pod. "And this is my daughter, Mira." The pod was oval, made from a smooth, glass-like material. Tiny lights along its edges glowed faintly, and inside, Mira's small chest rose and fell in slow, steady breaths. She looked peaceful, but Rian could tell from Cyrene's expression that her condition was not simple. Loma stepped closer, scanning the pod with a handheld device. "She's alive, but her vital signs are low. The pod is supporting her." Cyrene nodded. "Yes, it keeps her warm, feeds her, and shields her from the air here. The planet," she paused, and her voice became heavy, "is dying." Rian glanced toward the small window in the shuttle. Through it, he could see the red clouds swirling below, moving like slow, heavy tides. From here, the planet looked beautiful, but the deep cracks in its surface glowed faintly, as if the world itself was breaking apart from within. "What happened to it?" Rian asked. Cyrene closed her eyes for a moment before speaking. "Long ago, our people lived across many worlds, but we fought each other. When the wars ended, this was the only home we had left. Now the ground burns from inside. The skies choke us. Storms never stop. We tried to escape, but the ships that still work, they are few. Most are taken by those who would rather rule than save." Her voice was steady, but Rian could see the effort it took her to stand. He noticed the faint shimmer in her skin had dulled, and her breathing was uneven. "You're hurt," Loma said gently. Cyrene shook her head. "Not hurt, worn down. The storms give off a fire you cannot see. It eats at the body. It is why I must leave soon, or I will not rise again." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. It was clear she had little time left, yet her focus remained entirely on her daughter. Rian took a step closer. "We'll bring you both to our ship. Our medical systems are better than what you have here." At that, Cyrene's eyes sharpened. "No, you will take my daughter. I will come if I can, but she must be saved first." The words carried a finality that made the crew fall silent. It was the kind of statement a mother made when she had already accepted her own fate. Before Rian could reply, a warning tone sounded from the Aurora's comm units. Loma checked the display on her wrist pad. "Commander, the planet's atmosphere is shifting. A storm front is forming, fast. If we don't leave orbit in the next half hour, we'll be trapped in the turbulence." Rian turned back to Cyrene. "We have to move now. Can you walk?" She hesitated, then nodded. "I can." She bent down, pressed a hand gently to the pod's surface, and whispered something in a language the crew didn't understand. Mira did not wake, but the soft, Hum from the pod seemed to respond to her touch. The crew members moved to lift the pod carefully. It was surprisingly light, and the smooth surface made it easy to carry, though it seemed to pulse faintly under their hands, as if alive. As they made their way back through the airlock, Cyrene glanced round the Aurora's docking bay. The space was clean, bright, and filled with tools and equipment unlike anything she had seen before. For a moment, her eyes lingered on a panel of glowing blue symbols, perhaps wondering how much more advanced these humans were compared to her people. Once inside, the medical team rushed Mira's pod toward the medbay. Cyrene followed slowly, holding onto the wall for support. In the medbay, Dr. Hale examined the pod. "This is incredible," he murmured, running a scanner over its surface. "It's keeping her stable at levels that should be impossible. Whoever built this understood life support far beyond human standards." Cyrene gave a small nod. "It is the work of my ancestors. Few can make them now. Even fewer would give one to another. But she must live, while Hale worked." Rian led Cyrene to a small observation lounge so she could rest. The large window looked out over the planet below. From here, the sight was both beautiful and terrible. Red and orange storms churned endlessly. Flashes of white lightning streaked through the clouds, followed by brief pulses of light from the cracks in the planet's surface. The world looked alive, but in the way a dying fire still glows before fading to ash. "This was your home," Rian said quietly. "Yes," Cyrene replied. "I was born under those skies. I thought I would die under them as well. But then," she stopped, her gaze shifting toward where the medbay was. "I cannot let her grow up in that place. She must see the stars, breathe clean air, and walk on ground that does not tremble beneath her feet." Her voice softened, but her hands clenched tightly in her lap. Rian studied her for a moment. "We'll do everything we can to keep her safe." Cyrene met his eyes, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she said, "If you truly wish to keep her safe, you must be ready. Others will come for her. She carries something rare, something they want. That is why I called you, not my own people. I do not trust them." Before Rian could ask what she meant, the Aurora's engines began to hum louder as they prepared to break orbit. Through the window, the red clouds below swelled upward, the storm rising like a living wall. Loma's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we're ready to leave. Storm will hit in 12 minutes, Rian stood. "Then we don't waste time." Cyrene rose as well, though her steps were slow. She turned to look one last time at the planet. Her face did not show sadness, only determination, as if she had already chosen to leave her past behind for the sake of her child's future. As the Aurora pulled away from the dying world, the red clouds swirled faster, swallowing the shuttle that had brought Cyrene here. It vanished into the storm without a trace, and far away, beyond the reach of their scanners, something else stirred, a shadow moving through the stars, perhaps already searching for what the Aurora now carried. The hum of the Aurora's engines filled the medbay as Cyrene sat near her daughter's pod. Mira slept peacefully inside, the soft glow from the pod's edges casting a warm light over her small face. Dr. Hale had run several scans, each one leaving him more impressed. The pod adjusted temperature, oxygen, and nutrient supply every few seconds, reacting to even the smallest changes in Mira's condition. "It's not just keeping her alive," Hale told Commander Rian quietly. "It's making her stronger. This technology repairs damage in ways we don't understand yet." Rian glanced at Cyrene. She was watching them, calm but alert, even in her weakened state. She gave the impression that she noticed everything. "You've been very generous in letting us help," Rian said to her. "But I feel there's more you haven't told us yet." Cyrene's eyes lowered for a moment. Then she spoke. "My people built wonders long ago. Ships that could sail between stars without fuel. Cities that floated above clouds. Machines that healed in moments. Much of it is gone now, lost in war or hidden by those who keep it for power. But I still carry some of it. Here." She placed her hand over her chest. Loma, standing nearby, frowned slightly. "You mean inside your body?" "Yes," Cyrene said. "It is called living material. It grows and repairs itself. It learns from whatever it touches. My ancestors joined it with our bodies so we could heal faster, breathe in thin air, and survive in harsh worlds. Over time, it became part of us, and me. It is strong. Strong enough to keep a ship alive if you know how to use it. Her gaze moved between Rian and Loma. If you promise to protect my daughter, I will give this to you. The room went quiet. Hale looked up from his scans, startled. Loma's brow furrowed. You give away part of yourself? Loma asked slowly. Cyrene's voice was steady. I will not live much longer. The storm's fire has already touched me. My strength fades every hour. But the living material inside me, that will last. If I pass it to your ship, it will make your walls heal from damage, your engines run longer, your shields grow stronger. You could escape almost anything. Rian crossed his arms, thinking carefully. And the cost? Cyrene tilted her head. The cost is my life. Once I give it, there will be nothing to keep me alive. But that matters less than my daughter's safety. Her words were simple, but the weight behind them settled over the room. Loma stepped forward, her voice quiet. You're asking us to take something that's keeping you alive now. I'm offering it. Cyrene corrected. It will serve you better than it serves me now. If my daughter travels with you, you will need it. Those who hunt her will. Not stop. Rian studied her closely. You've mentioned this twice. Who exactly is after her? Cyrene's hands tightened around the edge of Mira's pod. There's a faction among my people who believe my daughter's blood can bring back lost abilities, gifts our people once had but no longer. They would raise her as a weapon. I would rather she never see them again. The thought of a child being used like that made Rian's jaw tighten. We protect our own. He said at last, if she's aboard Aurora, she's under my protection. Cyrene's eyes softened slightly, but she gave no smile. Then you will accept my offer. Rian hesitated. If there's another way for you to survive, we'll find it first. But if it comes to it, we won't waste your gift. Cyrene inclined her head. That is fair. Before anyone could speak further, the ship's comm crackled with Loma's voice from the bridge. Commander, you need to come see this. Rian, Loma, and Cyrene moved quickly to the command deck outside the wide viewport. The red planet was now a small disk behind them, but further ahead, something glimmered. Faintly in the darkness, contacts, Rian asked. Loma's fingers moved over the console. One small craft, no official transponder. Moving fast, closing distance. Rian frowned. Pirates, could be, Loma said. Or, she glanced at Cyrene. Cyrene's voice was quiet. Or they've already found us. The Aurora's long-range sensors painted the incoming craft. In thin lines of light on the screen, it was sleek, with sharp, wing-like shapes and a dark hull that seemed to drink in the surrounding starlight. They will not ask, Cyrene said. They will take. Rian turned to Loma. Shields up, evasive course. The hum of the ship deepened as power shifted to defenses. Outside, the stars began to slide across the view as the Aurora adjusted its path. They'll be in weapons range in 7 minutes, Loma reported. Rian glanced at Cyrene. If your biotech can help our systems now, this would be the time to try. Cyrene nodded once. Bring me to your heart, the place where your ship's life begins. Loma led her to the engineering deck, a wide, tall space filled with humming reactors, glowing conduits, and the deep throb of the main power core. The core's blue light washed over Cyrene's silver skin, making her look almost like part of the machinery. She approached the central column, placed her hands on the smooth metal, and closed her eyes. A faint shimmer spread from her fingertips, flowing into the ship's surface like liquid light. The Aurora's displays flickered for a moment, then stabilized, but readings began to climb. Shields strengthened, engine output rose. Cooling systems adjusted themselves as if guided by invisible hands. Loma stared. It's like the ship is healing itself. Cyrene's voice was faint but clear. Now it will learn. It will protect itself, and you, as long as you protect her. She nodded toward the medbay, where Mira still rested. The ship shuddered as a distant burst of light signaled weapons fire from the approaching craft. Rian's voice came over the comm. Brace yourselves. They're not here to talk. And just Like that, the Aurora was in motion again. A small human ship carrying a child who was more valuable than anyone had realized, and a mother willing to give everything to see her safe. The first impact shook the Aurora like a sudden wave striking a small boat. Warning lights blinked on the bridge, and a deep alarm echoed through the ship, shields holding. Loma reported from her station, but they're testing our defenses. Through the front viewport, the enemy craft came into clearer view. Its black hull seemed to bend light, making it hard to see where its edges began and ended. The sharp, wing-like shapes extended far back, glowing faintly with the red light of its engines. Commander Rian stood steady at the center of the bridge. Helm, keep us moving. Don't let them get a clean lock. The Aurora swung into a wide arc, slipping between drifting rocks at the edge of a broken asteroid field. The asteroids glowed in places from old impacts as if they had been burning. Slowly for centuries, they're matching our course, the helm officer said. Closing in, Rian turned toward Loma. Can the ship handle more speed? Loma's eyes flicked over the readings. With what Cyrene gave us, yes, but it will push the engines to their limits, then push them, Rian ordered. The Aurora surged forward, engines roaring louder than before. On the screens, the space ahead stretched into a blur as they darted between the tumbling asteroids. The enemy ship followed without hesitation, weaving through the debris with practiced skill. In the engineering bay, Cyrene stood near the glowing core, one hand pressed lightly against its surface. She could feel the living materials she had given merging deeper into the Aurora's systems. The ship's hum had changed, not just louder, but steadier, almost like a heartbeat. A sudden jolt rocked the ship again. This time the alarm on the bridge was sharper. Direct hit. Port side, Loma called out. Minor damage, but shields are losing strength faster now. Rian frowned. They're aiming for weak points. They know where to strike. The enemy ship drew closer, and a deep blue light began to glow along the edges of its wings. Cyrene's eyes widened when she saw it on the nearby monitor. She spoke quickly over the comm. That is a disruptor weapon. It will cut through your shields in one strike. You must break their aim before they fire. Rian didn't hesitate. Helm, bring us into the densest part of the asteroid field. Make them work for every shot. The Aurora dove sharply into a spinning cluster of massive rocks. Shadows swept over the viewport as the asteroids blocked the starlight. The ship twisted and turned, scraping close to the surface of some rocks, using them as cover. The enemy ship fired again, but the shot exploded against an asteroid, breaking it into fragments that scattered like shards of glass. They missed. The helm officer said. They won't miss twice, Rian replied. We need to hit back. Loma checked the weapons systems. Standard cannons won't do much against their armor. Cyrene's voice came again. Calm despite the chaos. Your weapons will be stronger now. The living material adapts. It has already learned from their attacks. Fire at the points where their armor glows from heat. It will crack. Target those points, Rian ordered. The Aurora's forward guns lit up, sending bursts of golden light into the dark. The shots struck the glowing seams of the enemy's wings. The first few bursts fizzled harmlessly, but then one struck true. The wing's edge flared and bent inward, sending sparks trailing into space. They felt that, Loma said. The enemy ship swerved sharply, then pulled back out of the asteroid field. For a brief moment, the Aurora had breathing room, but Cyrene shook her head when Rian looked at her on the monitor. They are not gone. They will circle around, find open space, and strike again. You must be faster. Rian nodded once. Helm, plot a course through the far side of the field. Let's lose them in the debris. The Aurora raced on, slipping past spinning boulders and icy fragments. The hum of the ship's core felt almost alive now, a steady rhythm that matched the pulse of the crew's focus. Minutes passed before the scanners showed the enemy again. They were farther now, struggling to match the Aurora's unpredictable course. They're still coming, Loma said, but slower. Rian turned to the helm. Good. We'll make our jump to FTL before they can close the gap. In the medbay, Dr. Hale checked on Mira. The child remained asleep, but her small fingers twitched occasionally, as if she were dreaming. He noticed the pod's glow had deepened, and the life signs had grown stronger since they had left the planet. You're safe for now, he murmured quietly, back on the bridge. The countdown to the jump began. Engines charged, Loma reported. Coordinates set. Rion's voice was steady. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. The stars outside stretched into long lines of light. As the Aurora leapt into faster-than-light travel, the enemy ship vanished from the scanners. Only then did the crew allow themselves to breathe normally again. Cyrene stepped onto the bridge, her movement slow but steady. Her eyes scanned the crew, then the star lines outside. You fought well, but they will not stop. They will send more. Rion met her gaze. Then we'll be ready. You've given us a ship that can fight, and a reason to fight. Cyrene glanced toward the medbay, where her daughter rested. That reason must survive. Rion nodded. She will. For now, the Aurora sped through the silent void, carrying its small crew. A mother, a child, and a gift that could change the fate of more than just one world. But far behind them, in the darkness they had left, the enemy ship drifted in silence, damaged, but not destroyed, and already sending a signal to others. The Aurora cut through the darkness at faster-than-light speed. The stars stretched into bright lines outside the windows. The crew kept busy at their stations, but the air on the bridge felt heavy. They all knew the enemy would not stop. Cyrene sat in the observation lounge, her gaze fixed on the blur of starlight beyond the glass. She could feel the strength in her body fading faster now. Her skin had lost some of its silver shine, and her breathing was slower, each inhale taking more effort than the last. Loma came to check on her. You should be resting, she said gently. Cyrene gave a faint shake of her head. There is little point. My time is short, but there is still something I can do. Loma sat across from her, worry in her eyes. You've already given us so much. Without you, we wouldn't have made it through the asteroid field. Cyrene's gaze moved toward the medbay down the hall, where Mira lay sleeping inside the pod. I have not given enough. They will keep coming. The only way to end this is to lead them away from her. Loma froze. You mean leave the ship? Yes, Cyrene replied softly. I can take one of your smaller craft. I will let them find me. If they believe I have the child, they will follow. You will have the time to reach safety. That's dangerous, Loma said quickly. It's Cyrene interrupted her with a calm voice. Danger does not matter to me anymore. What matters is my daughter's life. If I stay here, I put her at risk. If I go, I give her a chance. Before Loma could argue again, the ship's alarm sounded. Rayon's voice came over the comm. All crew to stations. The enemy is back on our tail. Cyrene stood slowly, steadying herself against the wall. It seems my time to act has come sooner than I thought. On the bridge, the scanners showed 3 ships this time. They were smaller than the first attacker, but faster, closing the gap quickly. They must have been waiting along our path, Loma said as she joined Rion. Coordinates suggest they knew exactly where we be, the helm officer added. Rion's jaw tightened. They're not after us. They're after her. Cyrene stepped onto the bridge, her voice calm but firm. You know what must be done, Commander. Let me take one of your escape crafts. I will make sure they see me leave. If they think I have Mira, they will follow me. Rion turned toward her, his eyes narrowing. That's a death mission. Cyrene's expression did not change. It is the only mission I have left. You have a ship to protect. I have a daughter to protect. This is how we both succeed. The bridge went quiet. No one wanted to agree, but the truth of her words was clear. Finally, Rion gave a short nod. We'll make it convincing. Helm, prepare a launch path toward the nearest gas giant. Engineering. Rig one of the escape crafts with a signal to mimic Mira's life signs. Within minutes, the small craft was ready. The engineers had filled it with decoy energy readings and a faint signature copied from Mira's pod. To the enemy's scanners, it would look like the child was aboard. Cyrene stood beside the craft in the docking bay. The silver glow of her skin was dim, but her presence still carried strength. She placed one hand on the smooth surface of Mira's pod, her voice dropping to a whisper. You will not remember me, little one, but you will live. That is enough. Mira stirred slightly inside, her eyes fluttering open for just a moment. Cyrene smiled faintly, brushing her fingertips against the pod before stepping away. Loma stood by the door. I wish there was another way. So do I, Cyrene said. But sometimes the only path forward is the one you do not wish to take. The docking bay lights shifted to red as the outer doors began to open. The vast emptiness of space appeared beyond, dotted with distant stars and the glowing swirl of the gas giant far ahead. Rion's voice came over the comm. They've spotted us. They're changing course toward you. Just as planned, Cyrene stepped into the craft and closed the hatch. The small ship detached from the Aurora, gliding smoothly into the void. Almost immediately, two of the enemy ships broke off pursuit of the Aurora and angled toward her. Inside the cockpit, Cyrene guided the craft toward the gas giant. Its clouds were deep shades of orange and brown, swirling endlessly in massive storms. Lightning flashed within them, bright enough to light up the edges of her ship. The enemy vessels followed close behind. Cyrene could feel the vibrations in her craft as their scanners locked onto her. She adjusted her path, diving lower toward the gas giant's upper atmosphere. The thick clouds swallowed her ship in moments, reducing visibility to almost nothing. The storms inside were unlike anything she had seen. Winds howled against the hull, and flashes of lightning streaked past like white claws. The pressure alarms began to sound, warning her that the deeper she went, the more the craft would strain. The enemy ships hesitated at the edge of the clouds, but then they followed. Cyrene's hands were steady on the controls. She guided the craft toward a massive swirling vortex, its center glowing faintly from heat far below. She knew the craft would not survive much longer in these conditions. Her voice was calm as she sent a final message to the Aurora. Rion, protect her. That is all I ask. On the bridge, Rion stood in silence as her signal grew weaker. The crew watched the scanner, following her craft until it disappeared entirely into the gas. Giant storms, the enemy ships that had followed her, vanished from the scanners soon after, their fates sealed in the same roaring clouds. For a long moment, the bridge was quiet except for the steady hum of the engines. Finally, Rion spoke. Set course for the colony, maximum speed. Loma swallowed hard but nodded. Turning back to her controls, Cyrene was gone, but her sacrifice had bought them the chance they needed. Mira was safe, for now. Outside the Aurora, the starlight stretched ahead into the deep dark, leading them away from the danger and toward the unknown future they now carried. The Aurora traveled through the silent sea of space. Days had passed since Cyrene's last transmission. The crew spoke less now, each person carrying the memory of her final act. Mira slept most of the time in the medbay pod. The machine kept her warm, monitored her breathing, and shielded her from the changes in temperature and gravity as the ship moved. But she was not an ordinary child, and some of the crew had begun to notice. One night, while the ship drifted through a calm region between star systems, Loma walked into the medbay to check on her. She expected to hear the soft hum of the machines, but instead she found Mira awake, sitting up inside the pod, watching the stars through the glass. You should be resting, Loma said gently. Mira tilted her head. I was listening. Loma blinked. Listening to what? Mira's eyes shifted toward the walls of the medbay. The stars. They are talking. Loma froze. She had heard Cyrene mention something about her daughter's gifts, but she had never understood what that meant. What do they say? She asked carefully. They say we are not alone. They say someone is waiting for us. Loma smiled faintly, trying not to show her unease. That's a nice thought. She reached into the pod to adjust the blanket, but when her hand brushed Mira's arm, she felt a strange warmth like touching sunlight. Later, she told Rion about it. It wasn't like a fever. It was something else, almost alive. Rion listened quietly. We already knew she was different. If Cyrene gave her life to protect this child, there's a reason. Maybe we'll find out when we reach the colony. The journey was far from over. The Aurora had to cross to more unpatrolled sectors, and every jump risked attracting the attention of scavengers or hostile patrols. 3 days later, As they approached the edge of the Chiral Nebula, the long-range sensors detected movement. 3 contacts, unknown configuration, the helm officer reported. Course, Rian asked. They're not heading straight for us, but they could cross our path. The Chiral Nebula was a dangerous place for a fight. Its colorful clouds were made of charged particles that interfered with scanners and comms. Once inside, they would be nearly blind. Rian decided quickly, we'll go in. If they follow, we'll lose them in the clouds. The Aurora entered the nebula, its hull glowing faintly from the interaction with the charged gas outside. The blue and purple swirls wrapped around them, beautiful but hiding countless dangers. Navigation became harder with each passing minute. At times, the sensors showed ghost images of ships that weren't there. In the medbay, Mira stirred again. She pressed her small hand against the glass of the pod and whispered, "Left. You have to go left." No one heard her, but at that same moment on the bridge, the helm officer hesitated over the controls. "I'm picking up something strange. Feels like we should adjust course." Rian frowned. "Do it." The ship turned just as a sudden burst of lightning-like energy struck, where they would have been seconds later. "How did you know?" Loma asked the helm officer. "I didn't. Just felt it." Back in the medbay, Mira lay back down with a faint smile, as if she had done what she needed to. Hours passed, and the ship finally exited the nebula. The strange contacts were gone, and the way ahead was clear. But something else began to happen. The ship's power reserves, which had been slowly draining over the long journey, suddenly showed a slight increase. Engineering reported no reason for it. No solar recharge, no fuel gain. Rian decided to check the medbay himself. He found Mira sitting up again, her eyes bright like twin reflections of starlight. "Hello, Captain," she said softly, as if she had known he was coming. "You're not supposed to be awake this much," he said with a small smile. She studied him for a moment. "You miss her." Rian froze. "Who?" "My mother. She told me to tell you thank you." He swallowed hard. "You spoke to her?" Mira nodded. "Not with words, with light." Rian didn't know how to answer that. He simply placed his hand on the side of the pod. "We'll get you somewhere safe, I promise." 2 more days of travel brought the Aurora close to its destination, a human colony built on the surface of a quiet green world. The crew began preparations for entry into the planet's orbit from the observation deck. Loma watched the planet grow larger on the screens. Oceans glimmered in sunlight, and wide forests covered most of the land. It was a place untouched by war. But just as hope began to settle in, alarms sounded again. 2 ships dropping out of warp behind us. The helm officer shouted. "Type?" Rian demanded. "Unknown. But they're moving fast." Rian's heart sank. "How did they find us?" Loma's eyes went to the medbay door. "They're not after us. They're after her." The enemy ships closed in quickly. The Aurora could not outrun them without risking a dangerous dive into the planet's gravity well. Then Mira's voice came over the ship's comms. No one had given her access. Yet somehow her voice filled every speaker. "Stop running," she said calmly. "I will make them go away." On the bridge, the crew stared at each other. "Mira, what are you doing?" Loma asked into the comm. "Trust me," Mira replied. Outside the ship, a strange light began to glow. It spread from the Aurora's hull, like a soft wave, reaching into space toward the pursuing ships. The enemy vessels slowed, their weapons powered down, and then, as if turning away from a dangerous predator, they changed course and vanished into the dark. When the light faded, the crew realized the ship's power reserves had increased again, more than before. In the medbay, Mira lay back in the pod, her breathing steady. "They won't come back," she murmured, closing her eyes. No one could explain what had happened. But Rian knew one thing: Cyrene's daughter was far more important than they had imagined. And now, she was almost home. The green world below grew larger on the Aurora's main screen. Its clouds swirled slowly, and the sunlight glimmered on wide oceans. The forest seemed endless, stretching far beyond the horizon. For the crew, it was the most peaceful sight they had seen in many months. Rian stood at the center of the bridge. His eyes did not leave the planet, Prepare for entry. He ordered. The Aurora descended carefully through the atmosphere. The ship shook slightly as it passed through thick clouds. But soon the ride became smooth again. The land below came into view, vast fields, rivers shining like silver threads, and tall mountain ranges. The colony appeared ahead, built beside a wide river. It was not a city of tall buildings, but a series of small settlements connected by bridges and roads. The houses were low and strong, made of stone and wood. There were gardens in every open space, and wind towers turning slowly in the breeze. The ship landed on a flat plain just outside the main settlement. Dust swirled around the landing gear before settling back onto the grass when the ramp lowered. The smell of fresh air filled the corridor. It was warm and clean, carrying the scent of trees and water. After so long in the recycled air of the ship, the crew felt as if they could breathe freely for the first time in years. Loma came to the medbay to guide Mira out. The girl stepped down from the pod slowly, her bare feet touching the ship's metal floor for the first time in days. She looked smaller than before, but her eyes were bright with curiosity. "Is this the place my mother wanted for me?" she asked. "Yes," Loma said softly. "This is home now." Outside, a small group of colonists waited. They were led by an older man with a calm face and a long coat. He introduced himself as Governor Hale. His voice was kind, but his eyes were sharp, measuring everything he saw. "We were told you were bringing survivors," he said to Rian. "But I was not told about her." He nodded toward Mira. "She is the reason we came here," Rian explained. "Her mother gave her life to protect her. This girl may be the key to more than you realize." Hale looked at Mira for a long moment. "She's not human." "No," Rian admitted, "but she is harmless, and she needs a safe place to grow." The governor's gaze softened slightly. "We have rules here. No weapons, no hidden dangers. If she can live peacefully, she may stay." The colonists guided the crew into the settlement. People came out to see the newcomers. Some smiled, but others looked uncertain when their eyes fell on Mira. Children peeked from behind their parents, curious but shy. Mira stayed close to Loma, but her gaze moved over every detail: the flowers growing in the gardens, the sound of the river, the birds in the trees. She seemed to take in everything at once. That night, the crew was given a small house near the river. Mira had a room of her own, with a bed covered in a quilt and a window that opened to the sound of water. She touched the fabric carefully, as if unsure it was real. "Do you like it?" Loma asked. "It's soft," Mira said. "I never had something like this," for the first time since leaving her home world. Mira slept without the hum of machines. She dreamed of her mother standing in a field of tall grass, smiling. Days passed, and Mira began to explore. She learned the names of plants and animals from the local children. She could often be found sitting by the river, letting the water run over her hands. The colonists slowly grew used to her presence. Some even began to greet her when she passed. But not everyone was at ease. Late one evening, Rian was called to meet with Governor Hale in the council hall. "She has gifts," the governor said quietly. "The people have noticed. The other day, a child fell into the river, and she pulled him out without touching him. The water moved, like it obeyed her." Rian nodded. "She can do things we don't understand, but she uses it to help." Hale frowned. "Some are afraid of what they do not understand. I cannot promise everyone will accept her. She's just a child," Rian said firmly. "If we protect her now, she might grow into someone who can protect all of us one day." The governor considered this for a long moment before giving a small nod. "Very well, she may stay, but if her powers draw danger here, I will have no choice but to send her away." That night, Loma found Mira sitting awake by the window. "You heard, didn't you?" Loma asked gently. Mira nodded. "They think I will bring trouble." Loma sat beside her. "People fear what they can't explain. But fear can change. You've already saved lives here." Mira looked out at the dark river. "The danger is already coming," she said quietly. Loma's breath caught. "What do you mean?" Mira turned to her, eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. "Someone is searching for me. They will find this place soon."